All right, this is our next episode of True Wrestling Fans Discussions, retro pay-per-view series. Now we're going into WCW finally, Halloween Havoc 1993. I'm your host, Mike.
I'm Frank. Let's get through this without falling asleep.
Da-na-na, da-na-na-na.
This card, for WCW in 1993, it wasn't bad. If you look at the wrestlers on the card, it looks pretty good on paper. What they executed was something totally different. And that was the problem with WCW from 93 pretty much through 95.
It was the booking.
Yes,
Booking was bad.
very bad.
Yeah, this is not a good period in WCW. I think it's
No.
does Oli have the book at this point? I think Oli might have the book again. I don't remember.
All I know is that from 89 to 92, they had storylines worth watching. And then once 93 started coming around and Ric Flair returned, they tried, but the execution of the
Yeah,
matches
it gets a little.
it wasn't there.
It gets a little shaky. Halloween Havoc is actually my favorite WCW pay-per-view, and probably because Halloween is like one of my favorite holidays, maybe my favorite holiday above Christmas, believe it or not, because I like horror movies.
Yeah.
And I always like the Halloween Havoc. The setup, they always had great like stages and
The tombstones and all
yeah,
that.
it
The
looked
decorations. It looked
yeah,
cheesy, but they look cool.
it was cool. It was, and they get better as they go along.
Yep.
They
Plus,
start
they
to
had
get
the
better.
spin the wheel, make the deal, which
Yeah,
I love that idea.
although it was actually rigged. You know that?
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
obviously. I mean, they have to figure out ahead of time.
ahead
Okay,
of
what
time.
match
Yeah,
are we prepared
it
for?
would have been cool if they did it on the fly, but no, it was
Which,
rigged.
by the way, I am ripping this main event to shreds when
Well,
we get to
yeah,
it.
we'll get into it.
Oh my
So,
God! If you saw what I saw, and I know you did, we'll
yeah.
we'll get to it.
All right.
In any event, October 24th, 1993. They couldn't even wait the following week and do it on Halloween. I mean, it would have made sense.
Yeah, I don't know what the reasoning was. Maybe they felt like too many people would be out trick or treating, so maybe they didn't want to do it on the actual holiday. I don't know.
I don't know. New Orleans, Louisiana, 6,000 people in attendance,
Jesus.
and it didn't look like it at first
No, it didn't.
when you're at the ringside. But when they at one point they actually did a broad camera angle of the arena, and then you could see sections were missing.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, they shouldn't have done that. They should have just given everybody the realism that we're sold out here.
They were having a lot of trouble filling up arenas back then in
Yes,
WCW. They were struggling with the house shows, and I mean
six
they were
thousand
giving
was actually
away.
pretty good for them.
It's not Halloween Havoc, but I think on some of those house shows they were actually giving away tickets.
I know when they started going to the MGM, not the MGM, when they went to
No, it was MGM.
Disney in Disney,
Disney MGM Studios.
they started doing it there because
Well,
they couldn't fill it up, and they
right.
had to fill it up because of those shows.
Yeah.
The only thing I didn't like about that whole thing was the ring was moving.
The rotating ring. Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't.
Stage.
So some of the ideas WCW had wasn't bad. You know, having the ring
They were
surrounded
innovative.
by the pool. I mean, yeah,
Oh, that was
they
cool.
tried
That was
different
cool.
ideas,
Yeah.
especially when Nash did the cannonball. I love that.
Yeah. They were also Nash was also drunk, but that's another story for another episode.
Well, man, you have to be drunk to work for WCW.
Yeah.
In any event, let's kick this off. The opening match was a 6-man tag team match. It was Ice Train, Charlie Norris, probably a bootleg Tatanka, and the Shockmaster. Don't call me Uncle Fred.
Yeah, don't call him Uncle Fred.
Versus Harlem Heat and the Equalizer. And if many people don't know, the Equalizer eventually became Dave Sullivan, Kevin Sullivan's brother, who idolized Hulk Hogan. So I'm watching this again, and I'm like, geez, he looks familiar. And then it clicked. Oh yeah, he was Dave Sullivan again. So this match wasn't bad. It was, I mean, Harlem Heat was just starting.
Were
And
they?
they weren't even Booker T and Stevie Ray
I was
yet.
about to ask you. It wasn't right. It was Kane.
It was
Was it
Cole
Kane?
and Kane.
Cole and Kane.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
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 So I mean, they didn't change the names until after. So they're just coming into their own. So they're obviously not going to be. And it's really
Yeah.
I was shocked because they were in the main event picture during the summer with the whole Sid and Sting and Bulldog and the Shockmaster. And now all of a sudden it's something like this. And I mean, the match wasn't bad.
So it was okay because I mean I'm a big Harlem Heat fan.
Yes, I am.
So
too.
just seeing those guys in there early on, like I just love Harlem Heat. You
Yeah.
know what's funny about Harlem Heat? I remember when I first watched them, And it was like from Harlem, New York, and I'm like, all right, they're from New York, all right. And then when I heard them speak, I'm like, they don't
They're
really
not
sound like
from
they're from New
Harlem.
York. I was like, I have a feeling. I was young, but I was like, I don't think they're from New
We
York,
we
man.
know the accent and we
Yeah.
know who's
I
from
mean,
there or
I
not.
mean, to be fair, it does vary by borough. Not everybody has the same accent, depending on what
Yeah,
borough you're from. But you know an East Coast accent when you hear it, and I'm like, I don't know about that. Anyway, come to find out they're from Texas, but it's neither here nor there.
exactly. It's a nice little tidbit we just threw
Yeah.
everybody. So 9 minutes, 45 seconds. Ice Train, Charlie Norris, and the Shockmaster get the victory. The ending was a little, I don't want to say cheesy, but we got what we got. So they come away with the victory.
Oh, what's worth mentioning? The opening of this pay per view is with Tony Schiavone. They did with the trick or treaters. They
Oh
have the
yeah,
trick or
yeah.
treaters. They're coming. They're going to the. They're like, oh, we want to go to that house. It's a big mansion, and
And then he shows his true
yeah,
face.
it's a little corny watching it, but it was cool back then. The way it really set up like a horror tone, and WCW was known for their actual production value when they did stuff like this because they were based out of Atlanta. Then once Turner, actually I should say, once Turner was in charge, the production value gets taken up because it's
Yeah,
a TV studio and everything, and so well, I thought it was cool, a little corny, a little cool, but still cool at the same time.
yeah.
And I asked him, why aren't you at Halloween Havoc? He's like, oh, I have a
Oh, yeah. I have a
helicopter.
helicopter coming in a
Yeah,
few minutes.
it's stupid, but it was fun. It was fun.
And then he's dressed up as Jesse Ventura at the pay per view, and him and
Right.
Ventura are doing the pay per view,
And
which
Jesse Ventura is dressed up, he said, as a gynecologist or something like that. I was like, oh, Jesus Christ.
he's trying to take Shivani's temperature from
Yeah.
behind.
And then oh my God. And then they have, this goes to show you that how times have changed. Eric Bischoff's dressed up as a Confederate soldier.
Exactly.
Watching this now, I'm like, oh, Jesus.
They can't do that now.
No, it wouldn't fly. I know it was in the South, but I mean,
Well, they did a lot of their booking early on in the South. They had to still have the Southern territories from North Carolina down.
I was like, Jesus. But yeah, anyway.
Yeah. And meanwhile, it's funny because Bischoff, when he took over, wanted to get away from that Southern drawl thing. That's why he
Yeah, because Eric's not from he's not from
the
the South. He's from Minnesota, right?
yeah.
Bischoff's from Minnesota.
So he wanted to change that Southern
Wrestling.
yeah, exactly, into something else.
Yeah.
And then of course he dresses like that.
Yeah. But he wasn't also, remember, keep in mind, he wasn't in charge at this time.
No, not yet.
He wasn't
He was
charge.
getting there. He was getting there. So our next match featured two very good wrestlers. Actually, I enjoyed this match. I didn't like the outcome. It was Ricky the Dragon Steamboat versus Mr. Wonderful.
The Dragon.
I'm sorry, Paul Orndorff. With Mr. Assassin, I guess. The Assassin. I don't know. Big guy in the corner for Orndorff. Whatever. Didn't matter until the ending. Two former WWE guys that were pretty decent in their time. They still were at this point. Orndorff could still wrestle into the mid '90s. He still had the look. Steamboat could still do it. This match was good. I just didn't like the ending. It was an 18-minute, 35-second bout, and Orndorff wins by countout thanks to the Assassin shoving something into his mask and hitting Steamboat in the back of the head.
Yeah.
That I thought was cheesy. I thought we could get a clean victory of one of these guys during this.
Should have. I mean, I don't see why not, but WCW.
They were talking about the whole thing with the television title, how Steamboat got it off of Orndorff, and then Steamboat lost it to Regal. And so this was a match that could have put them in line for the title again, and then it ends like this. I didn't like that outcome.
No.
And we had several outcomes like this, unfortunately. So, but I thought the match itself during that time was pretty decent. All right. Our next match was for the WCW television title, and this was actually one of my favorites because I like both of these guys' style in the ring. It was Lord Steven Regal defending the title against the British Bulldog, Davey Boy Smith.
The Brits, Brit versus Brit.
Yep.
This one.
Now the only thing about this title was most of the times when they defended it, it was a 15-minute time limit, and most of the time, I say about 80% of the time, they went to time limit draws.
They went to time limit draws. You know what I want to say about Bulldog in this? I liked his outfit. He never wore that in WWF. He had the gold, the red and gold.
Mm-hmm.
The gold tassels on the side. It looked sharp. I like the contrast with the red and the red and the gold. He never, for whatever reason, he never wore that. I don't know why.
Something different in WCW.
They probably didn't let him do it. I don't know. It looked good though.
There's no talent. So I mean, this match was pretty good. What was that guy that brings over there? Lord Chumley, whatever the fool was. I never liked that guy. His manager. He got involved in way too many matches. but he's not important. This went again, like I just said. This went to a time limit draw,
It
15
was.
minute. Bulldog almost pulled it out at the end.
Yeah, I would get to that. I want to mention that in a second. Regal was doing like chain wrestling though, which is kind of cool. If you're into that stuff, it's
Yeah,
kind of cool. I don't think at that point the states really knew about the chain wrestling. Wasn't really like we weren't too familiar with it,
Mhm.
but watching it, it's actually a cool style to watch. And Bulldog's for his size, he's very athletic, and I wish that he would have done more athletic stuff because he was capable of it. We saw this more during when he was with the British Bulldogs with Dynamite.
Yes.
But he does a couple moves here, and you could see the athleticism besides the power. Now they botched this ending, and it's not Bulldog's fault, and it's not Regal's fault. It was somebody in the truck messed up the timing and told him there was less time that was on the clock. There was like 20 seconds, and they told him it was 10.
Yeah.
Bulldog slams him, and then Regal's got to pull an audible, and he kicks out of the power slam, which guys didn't really kick out of the supers unless you were a Hogan or somebody big.
Yeah, you never kicked out.
You don't really kick. So he kicks out of it, and then they had to call the audible, and then he pile drives him, and then the clock expires. But the original ending was that the time was going to expire when he power slams him.
Yeah,
the time
wasn't supposed to pin him.
Right, but he kicked out, and I was like,
I'm going to tell you this right now. This is not the first time they're going to screw up a botched pin in this event. There's 2 other times that they do this. Yeah. And in two title matches, no, 1 title match.
Yeah, and I think there was like 4 title matches on this card, right? I think
they finally recognized Rick Rude's title as a championship, which we're all going, well, duh.
Yeah, we'll get to that.
And one thing I want to say about Regal, a lot of people don't give Steven Regal or William Regal, whatever you want to call him, they don't give him the credit that this man deserves. He is one of the most underrated wrestlers in history. This guy deserves a lot of credit because
he was a good wrestler.
He was the type of guy in WCW that could also make or break you because he would wrestle you, not the stuff, not all the other crazy stuff that they would do. He would actually mat wrestle you, and
the chain style.
Yeah, and a lot of people don't give him the credit for that. They all thought he was boring and this and that. And no, when he's in the ring, he's going to prove that I know what I'm doing, but do you? And he made a lot of wrestlers better for it. Tried to do it with Goldberg, but that never worked. So, in any event, once again, the title is a time limit draw. And Regal actually held this title for quite a long time. So, kudos to him for that. Now, right following this, Vader had come out with Harley Race, and this is where they spun the wheel to make the deal, which we all know was rigged because you got to plan, you got to know what your main event's going to be
beforehand. Yeah.
Now, the year before, they did a coal miner's glove match, which was pretty cool. So this time around, I thought this match was perfect for them, the Texas Death Match. However, and I'll get to it in the main event, when they give you the rules, they don't make any sense. And I'll explain that in a second. But these 2 guys were known for killing each other overseas, especially in Germany. We've all heard the story with Cactus in his ear when he fought Vader. So the only thing I didn't like was the title wasn't on the line. That's the only thing I didn't like about this match.
Yeah, the WCW.
Yeah, the actual WCW title.
WCW title.
The WWE title from '98. Yeah. So from there, we go on to our WCW United States Championship bout. And I like this match because I like these 2 guys in WCW. It was Dustin Rhodes defending the title against stunning Steve Austin. I almost said Stone Cold there. I didn't say Stone Cold. This is one of the other botches that they messed up in this match. When Austin went for the pin and was holding the rope, you see Nick Patrick is looking at him as he's holding it, but he counts to 3. That's a screw up right there because the match should have been over.
Right.
Then Dustin goes to pin him, and again they botched it again. But eventually Dustin keeps the title. But there was the second botch of the evening. Patrick's looking at him, and he clearly counts the 3 count. I'm looking at that and going, what is going on here?
Yeah, there was mistakes up, but at least you see, this is Austin in WCW where he could actually wrestle, and you got to see he wasn't a brawler; he could actually wrestle, and he was a bumping machine, man. The bumps he used to take, the turnbuckles and stuff like that. I thought it was a good match.
So Austin rolls him up, has his feet on the ropes. Nick Patrick counts to 3 while looking at him. So now I don't know if that was a botch or that was supposed to be the way it was. I don't know. Nick Patrick was known for stuff like that. Austin now thinks he's won the title, And when he demanded the belt, Dustin Rhodes rolls him up for the 1-2-3. Is pissed off. He runs away with the belt.
Right, he took the belt.
Well, in his eyes, he's won it, and I can't disagree with him because at the 2, when Nick Patrick put the 2 down, he's looking at him and still puts his hand down for 3. In my eyes, that's a victory. I mean,
yeah, but Austin cheated, so.
And he's the heel. He's supposed to cheat.
I know.
So. I mean, come on.
It was a
cheated or not, he got the 3 count. I mean, even though he waved it off. I mean, whatever. Dustin Rhodes is still the champion.
And Austin takes off with the belt.
Yeah, which is funny because these 2 guys actually had a pretty good feud. It's a shame we couldn't get this in WWE. Instead, we get Goldust, which I'm not knocking the gimmick, but it would have been. I think it would have been better if Dustin Rhodes on Austin. But whatever. Moving on from there, we go to the WCW Tag Title match, and this one I had my head scratching. Reason why, I'll tell you in a minute. It was Marcus Alexander Bagwell and Too Cold Scorpio defending the tag titles against the Nasty Boys. Now, I don't know, because I wasn't really watching WCW back then at this point. I don't know if this match was scheduled for Halloween Havoc, because the Nasty Boys, 24 hours prior, lose the tag titles on WCW Saturday Night to these guys. And now, 24 hours later, we get the rematch. Why they did it that way, I don't know. Again, the booking is chaotic at this point.
Yeah, I don't know. No idea.
Bagwell and Scorpio look great together. They're both high flyers at this point. Mm-hmm. I mean, they had a great match. Unfortunately, the Nasty Boys win back the tag team titles. And the match was 14 minutes, 38 seconds. It wasn't a bad match. I mean, obviously, the Nasty Boys cheated. Of course, they're going to do that. They're the Nasty Boys.
Yep.
But I don't understand the whole take the belts off them and then 24 hours later put it back on them. I couldn't tell you why they did that. But I mean, the match wasn't bad. We saw some high flying stuff. Bagwell's a rookie. You know, he's still coming into his own. Scorpio is a tremendous athlete, and the Nasties are the Nasties. Our next match was a feud renewed, a rivalry renewed. I should say. It was Sting versus Sid Vicious to pretty much see who the franchise of the company was going to be.
With no belt on the line.
Exactly. Didn't make any sense.
It's just like, okay, you're determining who's the franchise of the company. Neither one of them are champions.
But this is not a title shot.
Right.
And title match, rather.
And at the same time that there's 2 world champions.
Mm-hmm.
So whatever.
Thanks to Flair's return.
Yeah, whatever. But
so, I mean, this was an okay match. Again, the ending.
I always liked Sting's comebacks. When Sting will make a comeback, I always like Sting's comeback. And Sid looked like $1 million, you know.
Yes, he did at this point.
So I thought the match was okay. The ending is a kind of a mess too, because Parker grabbed
Parker, yeah.
But he looks right at him. He knows he's holding Sid's leg.
Yeah, and then when Sid tells him, "Hey, dummy," what? Oh, I'm sorry. And then I don't know what he's doing in the ring. He's throwing himself against these. He looked like he's grabbing a rope or something. I'm like, what are you, a mime now?
I thought Sid was going to jackknife him. No, I should say powerbomb. I thought Sid was just going to powerbomb him. He should have.
Because this is where Sid was becoming the fan favorite.
Sid was over, man.
And this was right around the time Sid was bye-bye.
Yeah. It didn't matter if Sid was a heel or not. People just cheered him, man.
Yeah, they did.
They just cheered him.
This was technically a fan favorite match because they both got cheered, Sting and Sid.
Yeah, even though Sid was supposed to be the heel, but
yeah, I know.
So then he holds his leg, and then Sid, Sting pins him 1, 2, 3 because Parker grabbed his leg. What else? I don't know.
I don't know, man. Why this just couldn't be a straight up? I mean, like again, this was the possible storyline of transitioning Sid to be a fan favorite.
He was supposed to get the title too after this.
Against Vader at Starrcade, and this was around the whole time of the Scissor incident. So, you know, they were progressing towards Vader, and it never happened. So, and this was him getting away from Rob Parker. So, I mean, I thought the match was good, like you said, but the ending, it wasn't. In any event, we go to our next match, and this match had 2 referees. The regular referee on the inside, and then we had Terry Taylor on the outside as the second referee. And this was for the WCW International World Heavyweight Championship. Me personally, I just call it the World Heavyweight title, like on Monday Night Raw, because that's pretty much what this was at this point. When Flair came back, now we've got 2 titles. I don't understand why they didn't unify it to begin with, and it's confusing to me why they did this for so long.
Well, they also did refer to it as the World Heavyweight title, right?
Yes, they did.
So
and it wasn't recognized until from time to time they did do that, and then it wasn't until this night that they recognized it as a world title.
It was officially because it was an NWA title.
Yeah. And
then they said they made up some names.
The International Board of Champions or Directors or whatever.
And I think at the end and then there was still an issue with the name NWA was in some sort of litigation, I guess, with the belt, and NWA was not recognizing it because even though they merged, there was still an NWA, right?
They were trying to go into Eastern Championship Wrestling, which became Extreme Championship Wrestling, and then NWA was trying to become its own entity at this time. It was a bunch of chaos with it.
Because Rude had won the title. I think it was at that tournament, right, in Japan. I think that's where he gets the title.
Yeah, and it wasn't recognized until this very night.
Yeah.
Funny that he's facing Ric Flair for the title.
It's ironic. So it's the big gold belt. It's ironic he's facing Flair.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Flair had what's her name? Fifi?
Yes.
In his corner.
And of course you have Ravishing Rick Rude with the awesome artwork on his tights.
Yeah, the Halloween
he had the pumpkin, he had Fifi on there.
Yeah.
And
he was known for that.
Oh yeah. Cheryl Roberts, it was classic. So, I mean, and Rick Rude was in the prime condition, but this was where he started having the back issues leading into 94, unfortunately. So, you could see him he had that look on his face when he took a couple of slams that he was still kind of feeling it, but he still put on a great match against Flair.
They always had good matches, those two. They had,
yes.
And I think they actually had some heat. I think they had heat, legitimate heat between the two of them, but they
I know there was something going on when Rick Rude had to relinquish the title. And
that was there was a big mess at the end.
Flair and Bischoff, and there was that's a whole story in itself.
The
gun in the trunk and stuff. I can't wait to get into that. But again, this match didn't end legit. It was Rick Rude winning by disqualification.
And then the referees get knocked out. Remember, both referees at some point
in a matter of 30 seconds.
Yeah, they get knocked.
And then Terry Taylor comes in and he gets knocked out.
Right.
I'm like, oh, come on.
You know what I thought was cool? That Flair does the Rude Awakening on Rick Rude. That was pretty cool. Yeah, I was like, oh man, he's trying to beat him with his own move. That was cool.
Yes, this is a pretty good match.
No, it was cool. You got two of the all-time greats. They were they both heels? Was Flair a heel?
No, Flair was in as a fan favorite at this point. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Flair changed more times than Big Show.
This guy was always
oh my God. And then a few months later, after with him and Vader feud, then they're teaming together, and it's just oh my God. Make up your mind. What do you want to do with him? But yeah, he's a fan. He's a babyface at this point.
Yeah. So then Rude leaves with Fifi, right? Does he even take the belt? Does he even take the belt?
No, he picked up Fifi,
right,
and he's walking out with her, and then Flair hits him, and she falls down,
right, yeah.
And I don't know if he had the belt in his hand, but the first thing he wanted was Fifi.
It was Fifi, yeah. I don't blame him.
I don't blame him either. Shoot, I'd
rather have Fifi than the belt.
Fifi.
Yeah.
Well, I'll take Fifi back then. I want
Fifi. But anyway.
So this was the longest match on the card, 19 minutes, 22 seconds. It was well worth it because it wasn't a boring match. Just the outcome, again, disqualification.
Yeah, this is WCW, man. Always those.
Yeah, because neither one of them wanted to lose their stroke, unfortunately. And, it was what it was. But, yeah, I know you wanted to say something about Taylor on this.
No, Taylor had that promo before earlier in the pay-per-view, how he was going to be the ref, and I'm just like, man, nobody cares about you, Terry Taylor. Get out of here.
You couldn't even what was it that organization thing he did like 3 years prior? The computerized thing. Terry Runnels is his manager. Oh, he'll win. It's calculated. He'll win in 4 minutes 12 seconds.
Wasn't he also like a bootleg $1 Million Man also?
Yes, and once or twice I've posted that on our site, but where I compare the two and go, is somebody trying to steal somebody's gimmick?
I don't know. I kind of feel bad for him because, and I don't want to get too sidetracked into Terry Taylor, but once he got the Red Rooster gimmick, he was done. Because prior to that, he was highly touted as like, okay, he's a young up and coming like charismatic guy, and then that seemed to be like the kiss of death of his career was that Red Rooster
In
gimmick.
WWE, yes,
In
but
WWF,
WCW
yeah.
didn't really do him wrong. They just didn't
I'm
push
saying
him.
when he came back, he had no momentum. But
Because remember also in the beginning of '93, he was in WWE as Terry Taylor.
yeah, but nobody cared.
And nobody cared at that point.
Yeah,
so he quickly exited
yeah.
and goes back to WCW. And again, nobody cared.
Right, yeah. So
unfortunately. So in any event, now that brings us to our main event, which was not for the WCW championship. This was Big Van Vader versus Cactus Jack.
But Vader was the WCW heavyweight champion.
Yeah.
Right.
But he wouldn't put the belt on him.
No, I know, but no, I'm just clarifying for anybody that's a little confused about these belts. Vader was the WCW heavyweight champion. He wasn't the world heavyweight champion.
Not the international.
Or the international. Champion. He was the WCW heavyweight champion. So
that's like now with the Universal and the other one. It's just whatever. In any event, this had mistakes from the word jump. When they started right before the match, they put out the rules for a Texas Death Match. And the one thing that didn't make any sense was on the second part of it, they said falls don't count.
Right.
But then down below they say falls can occur anywhere. Now falls don't count. They screwed up putting that in there because the Texas Death Match.
It's supposed to be falls count anywhere in the building. That's what a traditional Texas Death Match is. Falls count anywhere in the building. So it's probably a typo that somebody screwed up on the screen because
and they put it out there.
Right. Yeah. So
WCW,
ladies and gentlemen.
Exactly. After the initial fall, there was supposed to be a 30-second rest period, which I only saw that one time during this match.
They had never done that before, and I think it's because these guys were going so hard, beating the hell out of each other that they're like, well, let's give them a 30-second breather.
Look at them; they're not exactly Iron Man match work.
Vader looked like he was gonna die, man.
Seriously, I mean, he immediately took that mask off and he was sweating under that thing, and that was in the beginning of the match. And what's funny is they also botched. You have to be standing on your feet by the count of 10. At one point, when Cactus got pinned, he's still on his knees, and when they count down to 1, he's still on his knees. He's up. He's up. But he never moved. Oh my God! The match itself was great. What they did, these two guys put what they did to each other, what they put each other through. It was a decent match, but between the rules and the counting and all that kind of took away from it. And Vader wins the match. It was 15 minutes, 59 seconds. But just all of that stuff that, like I said, it took away from a good match.
Didn't Harley Race tase Cactus Jack?
That's another botch. I'm glad you brought that up. He keeps playing with the taser. All of a sudden now, obviously he's not going to really tase him. But the camera catches him, turn it off.
Right.
Hits Cactus with it. Cactus waits about 2-3 seconds after it's on him before he goes, ah! Yeah. And I'm like, oh my God, the timing on this.
I wonder if this is what the inspiration for ending Goldberg's streak with Scott Hall with the cow taser was. Is this the genesis of that bad idea?
Oh my God.
Yeah.
This was so bad. The timing was just not there. Like I said, Cactus waited a couple of seconds before he believes he got hit with it. And oh man, this was just. It's like you said, it's WCW, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah. But I mean, overall, I thought the match was good.
The match was good, except for the couple of botches. But the hardcore stuff that these guys did.
I remember Mick Foley. There's a spot where Mick Foley misses. Like he jumps. I think it's when he knocks him off. He knocks Vader off the ramp.
Yeah.
And he jumps, but I guess it's too narrow. And he jumps and he misses. And Vader's hurt.
How about the part where Nick Patrick had to fix the table?
He set it up for him.
Yes.
He set it up for him.
It was the other way. And Nick Patrick puts it. And Ventura's like, what is this guy doing?
Right. I don't know if Ventura let that slip or he was just trying to make up for their mistake and be like, hey, what is this guy doing? Is he helping? But
instead of just taking the table
down, he
flips it over and puts it over in the spot. I'm like, what are you doing?
Yeah. WCW.
Exactly.
Overall, I thought it was all right. The pay-per-view was okay. I enjoyed it.
On paper, you had the wrestlers that could pull it off.
You had the talent for sure.
Booking and writing wise, not so much.
Yeah, the execution. Yeah.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, Unfortunately, this is actually one of the better Halloween Havocs, I think. So
Yeah, I mean there was a couple up there that were pretty decent, but yeah,
yeah, we're gonna keep reviewing them anyway. So
yeah, we'll be going into Halloween Havoc 1994 next.
yeah, so all right, you guys make sure to like, comment, share, subscribe, and we'll see you guys soon.
Take care.